Hi there, it's Blair here at Time Trades. This is your tutorial video covering the overall Time Trades components as well as an introduction to the Time Trades TradingView script. What I'm showing on my screen is the Time Trades web app. This is the first of two major components that comprise the Time Trades application. There's the web application found at timetrades.com. This is where you signed up for your 15-day trial. And there's a number of different pages here describing the product. What I'm going to be focusing on is really the TradingView page. This shows the complete list of TradingView scripts that are included in each of or in the Time Trades package. And if you click on each of these pictures here, this will take you to the TradingView website where you can see the detailed information for this script. Okay, so that's where you can find the full list of scripts included in the plan. And moving over, we can also take a look at the chart page, which is what you got access to when you signed up for the trial. The chart page has a menu over here on the left, and you can enter the symbol that you want to examine. The chart page is where the AI probabilities are displayed. So I'm going to have a later video breaking down exactly what these are and how to read them. But if you're interested in examining the AI probabilities, this is where you want to go. The chart page has different ways to display those probabilities. You can display no probabilities, both sets of directional and non-directional, and also drill down to either the directional probabilities that include a direction like a high or a low, or there's also non-directional probabilities, which are forecasting probabilities of a pivot or a move, but there's no implied direction in the non-directional ones. Moving over here, we have a little info icon that shows a little bit of information on the symbols. It shows the total number of bars in the chart, the date range in the chart, the training data. So this is the data that was used to train the AI, the date that the model was last trained on, as well as some definitions of what 1 and 2 standard deviation moves look like. We are going to be adding precision statistics that are collected with each of the model retrains. So that's coming soon. Also on this page, you can see here the influencers. Now, what this is this shows information that's collected in the AI training process about what is the most important or influential events that contribute the most to the AI probabilities. And you can see here, this is gathered for 2 of the 6 AI models. There's probability of a non-directional pivot and probability of a non-directional move. So the number here is showing the events that contribute the most to a pivot. And you can see here the number 1 most influential event over the QQQ pivot is a heliocentric aspect between Mercury and Uranus. So using this information, you can use this to inform some of your choices on how to use the TradingView scripts. So the full list is here. You can also export this if you have a annual subscription. And you can also click on the moves, and then you get a sorted list of what events contribute the most to a 2 standard deviation move. And you can see here Ceres retrograde is a major contributor, as well as aspects of Uranus, whether Uranus or the geocentric element of the sign that Uranus is in, the actual sign that Uranus is in. These all are major contributors to the moves, and you can see the full list there. So this is very interesting and useful because it does share the what is collected by the Time Trades AI, and it identifies what are the most important and influential data points that contribute the most. Okay, so that is a quick overview of the web application. Actually, before we go, I want to go over here to the user profile page. This is where you would uh, set up your TradingView username. If you did not establish a TradingView username when you first signed up, then you can come over here and you can add your TradingView username, um, and then that will provision the scripts to your account. Okay, so let's go and take a look at TradingView. I want to share a couple of features in the primary script, the time trade script. Okay, so after the scripts get provisioned, you should receive an email and informing you that yes, the time trade scripts have been successfully provisioned. So let's go and take a look at what that looks like now. We can go and search for time trades, and you can see it here. YYC Trade is me. That's the account that I use on TradingView. So the invitation is going to come from that account. So you can select the time trade script. And I'm going to cover just two of the features here within the time trade script. And by default, it shows Venus intervals as well as white magic levels. And these are kind of two of the most important elements of the time trade script. So I'm going to turn off the rest here. Now let's talk about Venus intervals first. What is a Venus interval? All right, so if we go and take a look at this graphic, this shows basically the orbit of Venus within the orbit of Earth. So here's Earth on the outside, Venus on the inside, and an interval is really 1/6 of that orbit. So over time, starting with Venus basically being conjunct the Sun, interval 1 moves through to a position called maximum western elongation. And then it moves through interval 2, where the speed is greatest relative to Earth, moving away from Earth. And then speed of the inner planet, Venus or Mercury, slows as it kind of turns the corner towards another conjunction, but this time the conjunction with the sun is on the opposite side of the sun, so that's interval 3. Interval 4 is moving towards the opposite of western elongation. Interval 5 is where speed is at its peak, moving towards Earth, and then interval 6 completes the cycle, moving into the next solar conjunction. So that's an overview of what an interval is, and there's 6 intervals, and what we've done here is we've displayed those on the chart and identified them in pink boxes and numbered them accordingly. And you can see here how intervals 2 and 5 represent those intervals of maximum speed. Interval 2 is when Venus is moving away from Earth, and interval 5 is when Venus is moving towards Earth. You can see there's kind of heightened volatility when it turns the corner. And intervals 2 and 5 are generally where we see trends. Okay, so there's always exceptions to these rules. I mean, nothing goes in a straight line, of course. But intervals 2 and 5 do tend to be where the trading is, I guess I would say, easiest, because it tends to have the most trending behavior. So we're just right now, as I record this on June 23rd, 2025, you can see that we just started at interval 2 here. Venus has completed, turning the corner and coming around in interval 6 and 1. So we just passed the western elongation point, where the distance between the sun and Venus is at its maximum. And now we're in interval 2, where Venus is at a peak speed moving away from Earth. So we are looking for a trending market now in this segment. It's maybe a little bit premature to conclude the direction of that trend. It could be up, it could be down, but we are on alert right now for the emergence of a trend. So that is how you use the Venus intervals, and that's why they're one of the more important indicators in the time trades script toolkit. Now, the next one I want to talk about is white magic levels. White magic levels you can think of as basically Fibonacci. I'm going to turn off Venus intervals here. We're going to double click those and turn that off. You can think of white magic levels as really Fibonacci spirals. Okay, so these are Fibonacci growth spirals, and one of the behaviors that you can see, and in fact, one of the best examples of this is in NVIDIA. I like to use this as my example. Um, it from what I've observed, it takes a lot of energy to sort of jump to the next band of one of these growth spirals. But when that happens on a strong bar, like for example, if we kind of gap up, if we gap up over a magic level on a strong bar, this is a sign of strength in that stock. You can see here on the first attempt of NVIDIA in February 2020, it failed and it fell back into the range with the COVID crash, with everything else. But then it came up and tried again, and we got basically a gap up over in April 2020, and then a successful retest here as it never re-entered the range or separated below it, and then it continued up. And again, we come to the next one. We see similar behavior where we cross that white magic level, retrace a little bit to test it, and then a strong bar up is a sign of strength. Okay. Now, as we move forward in time, you can see how the crosses get stronger and stronger. This is an excellent example of a strong bar crossing the white magic level, moves up, comes back for a retest, very strong retest of that level, and then NVIDIA resumes its move up. Okay. And here's an example of where we re-entered the range. And this is where subdividing the white magic levels becomes useful. I like to use some of these subdivision features so we can subdivide it into eights. And we can see how some of these eight subdivided levels provide excellent locations for resistance and support through here. Come back for a retest, fail this retest here. So we can once this retest fails, we can expect it to resume the move down to at least the next white magic level down here. And in fact, it continues down further to the second band lower. So this decline was stopped at this white magic level here at 1106, and then we resumed the move up. First attempt to cross failed. He came back about halfway through the band, gained some energy, and then we got a strong bar up and over, and that was really a great sign of strength here in NVIDIA back in January 2023, and away we go with the AI narrative taking control. And we can see how, in general, once like this cross here, this is an excellent example of, a news event. We had earnings, obviously great earnings, huge gap up, crossing the white magic level on a strong bar. This is a great indicator of a breakout that you should pay attention to. Comes back for a retest, the test succeeds, and away we go. So there's a couple of actionable trading opportunities that you can take here. One is trading a strong bar crossing the white magic level. Second is trading that retest and entering on that retest over here. Okay, so I don't want this video to be too long. What I've covered so far is really just a quick orientation of the two major components of time trades. That's the TradingView scripts, and secondly is the web application. And we've also covered the two most important elements of one of those TradingView scripts. That's Venus intervals and white magic levels along with its subdivisions. So that's it for this video. I will see you on the next one. Thank you.